Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined, as always, by my trusted partner and, as promised, our very special guest and dear friend, the Andy Herman. Andy, it's so good to see you. How are you? How was your week?
Was it a week's going
week?
Great. Yeah, life is good as a Packers fan right now. That's for sure. Thank you as always for having me. Appreciate you guys a ton, and yeah, excited to be here.
Yay, Maddie, how was your week?
I mean, we're just, floating on air over here between football about to start, Micah Parsons in the fold, all of our favorite podcasts, that have been shuttered for the off season coming back on. We have a lot of stuff from Frozen Thunder Frequencies, especially, that are back in. We have stuff from PackersTalk.com that's back on. So I'm just super excited. It's like, we have the great stuff from Andy, for example, all year round, 365 days a year. But seeing everyone else kind of coming back into it, and my podcast feed is just blowing up right now. This is the good life. We are beyond blessed as Packers fans, as we always say. Dawn, how's your week going?
We really are. My week is my week. My week is interesting. I just learned that I had the same procedure that Micah Parsons had.
Really?
On my back. Yeah, he had an epidural. Did you know he had an epidural, Andy?
I haven't heard it confirmed that yet, that he's actually had the epidural, but I saw that there was some thought that he might have an epidural, but I haven't seen it confirmed anywhere that he did.
Well, it makes me think, because I have to be laid up. I mean, of course, I'm not a professional athlete, but I have to be I think it's pretty standard that you have to be resting for a couple days after that. And sometimes they can hurt a little bit, not always. Usually you just get relief right away, but sometimes they can make you have muscle spasms, which I'm having. Thank you very much for asking. But I just wondered, if he had them maybe a week ago. And I just heard this too. I didn't know if it was a rumor or a real thing that he actually had it. It's not a bad thing if he had it, but it's something that, if they're playing on Sunday, I would think he would have had it at least by Sunday.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything confirmed that he's had it yet, but there definitely was some talk that there was the potential that he might have to have it done. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to find out. And have you been to the practices? I know you said you weren't going to go for a while because of the way the media kind of can't do much anyway with it. But have you gone since Micah's been drafted anyway, or?
No, I haven't been there yet. I was going to try to get there this morning, but unfortunately just a couple things worked out that I was not able to get there. I don't think I'm going to get there on Thursday. I don't think Friday is the real one that's not worth going to even remotely, because you only get the stretch period. So today was probably the day if I was going to get to one, and I was hoping to, and it just didn't end up happening. But hopefully I'll get out there next week at some point.
Yeah. Well, we have a million questions for you, so let's get into it. And awesome. Before we do that, do we have some folks in the chat to acknowledge Matt while we're getting?
I'll just throw up True North for a second here. He's saying, this lad Andy is the best looking guest on the show this year. Congratulations, Andy.
Thank you very much.
Andy is always looking fly. So first of all, Andy, I want to hear more about this Oasis concert, because I know you were on your way to Chicago, and I happened to catch Paul Farrington, who was talking about it. I think you might have texted him, or he saw it on Twitter or something like that. But so you're heading to Chicago, you get through traffic, and then you get the news about Micah Parsons, which is pretty important news, not, something kind of almost one in a lifetime kind of news that you're going to want to cover as a content creator, which we respect. But what about the people that you were going to the concert with? I want to know more about that. Did you drop them off, or how did that all work? Was it with your family, friends?
So the story was, I was going with three friends. There were four of us. It was actually one of my good friends and then two of his friends. So it was a friend of mine and two connections. I guess thankfully, in hindsight, my friend and his buddy drove down to Chicago separately. I had the radio show on Friday morning that after the concert, I was going to have to drive back and get probably home like 3:30 in the morning, get like a few hours of sleep and wake up for the radio show anyway. So because of that, it was driving separately than him. And then his other friend was flying in from out of town and getting there around 4:30.
Oh.
So I was set to meet them there in Chicago. My buddy and his friend had already gone down earlier in the day. They got there about 2-3 hours prior to me getting down there. And then again, his other friend was flying in. So yeah, we had 4 tickets to Oasis. It had been planned for obviously some time, had it on the calendar for a long time. And I had joked, and I almost tweeted it out earlier in the day of like, I don't think a Micah Parsons trade is going to happen, but if it does happen, it will be the moment I get the furthest away from Green Bay possible. As soon as I get in Chicago, I even joked. Grant Bilson and I did a podcast the night before, and I said, what's going to happen is I'm going to get into Oasis. They're going to start playing, and I'm going to have to immediately like book it out of there and get home in some way. That didn't end up happening, but I did get as far as possible. I literally got to the exit out of rush hour traffic in Chicago after sitting in traffic for about 30 minutes and just literally I saw the news without hesitation, get off the off ramp, get right back on the on ramp and get back right into rush hour traffic. The last 30 minutes that I sat in, now going 30 minutes the other way, basically. And then get caught in Milwaukee rush hour traffic as well. So called my friend and said, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to make it. He was obviously bummed. Was not able to sell the ticket, obviously, on any last minute or anything like that. So yeah, just booked it back to Green Bay as quickly as I could. And literally the moment I got home, because I had to stop and get gas and I grabbed a Pop-Tart quick to eat and then made it home literally like 5 minutes before 8:00 and was up and running by 8:00 to the pod. So it was, and then we went for 4+ hours straight, nonstop. So it was a 4-hour drive there, 4+ hour drive back, and then a 4+ hour pod, just in a crazy 12+ hour whirlwind that, nothing will ever be like that, I don't think.
Oh, that's crazy. I was waiting for you when you went live at that time. I wasn't there for the whole 4 hours, but that was really funny. It's a funny story. It was probably not super funny at the time, but maybe Oasis will send you some new tickets. So what's your favorite Oasis song?
You know what? I do enjoy their entire catalog, but I mean the hits are obviously to me what is like, Don't Look Back in Anger, Wonderwall. Like just again, I'm definitely with Oasis. I like the hits, but the thing is like I started to get into them a lot more because I knew I was going to the concert, so I was listening to a lot of their music ahead of time. So like even more so excited for it, and then it is what it is. Like I said, bad timing, but no regrets, no second guesses. Like I said, as soon as that news dropped, and I double checked it to make sure it was legit. It was in a moment's notice. I was back on the other side of the highway. So
people are talking about like, where were you when you heard the news, and you got a great story. You'll never forget that. That's for sure. I mean, Dawn was at her foot surgeon when she heard about it. She heard about it from the foot surgeon, actually. So like also a good story, but that's
Lions fan. It was a Lions fan foot surgeon. I forgot about that. See, I already forgot about that. And then the Uber driver was a Lions fan too. So I was having a lot of fun with it.
That's amazing.
I had just a little last minute emergency piece of glass taken out of my foot. And so he's like trying to distract me. And so, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm doing my podcast. Oh, what's your podcast about? Just to distract me while he's like digging glass out of my foot. And and I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's the NFL. I'm a Packers fan. And there it started. It's like, I was like, don't make it hurt more because you're a Lions fan. Boy, the Lions fans are spicy, aren't they? There are some spicy.
Very much so.
They've gotten spicy.
Wow, already.
They're emboldened.
Yes, they're emboldened. Exactly. So, and this question I love from Matt, it's, and it kind of leads into this because I just found it fascinating, a day in the life of a Packers content creator. You obviously know your priorities. So how do you figure all that out? Matt asks, and I'll do this. I hope I'm doing this right, Matt. The various configurations of the Pack-A-Day crews have always included so many that have had great chemistry, from the OGs, Dusty, Steve, and Sarah, Yay, I love them. And to our more recent Aaron, Jimmy, and Jen. And how do you find the right combos? Do you have a process or is it intuition? And I'm wondering how you were in human resources, right? And how those skills mirrored your skill in putting together these content creating kind of groups.
It's a phenomenal question. And there's kind of a variety of different answers and some interesting, unique aspects to them along the way as well. I say all the time, to this day, the single hardest part of doing anything with the podcast has been, I sent out that tweet that said, is anyone interested in becoming, doing the podcast? And I got well over 200 responses from people that wanted to be a part of the podcast in some way, shape, or form, whether it be, whatever it was. It was obviously recording podcasts in some way. And narrowing that down, so the initial idea, just to rewind shortly, the initial idea was to do a New York Times The Daily style episode, or like a podcast, but for the Green Bay Packers. So the Daily at the time was doing about a 20-minute topic, which is where you get the now famous and semi-hilarious 20 minutes a day, which of course were like an hour a day, if not more, but 20 minutes a day. But that's what the initial thought was, to do a 20-minute Packers podcast 5 days a week, like the New York Times was doing at the Times for a news episode, and cover a different topic every single day. Also in that was the idea that like I would have like, it would just be me on Mondays. It would just be like Dusty Evely on Tuesdays, like Ross Uglum on Wednesdays, like Matub on Thursdays. And, like, I think it was like Zach Jacobson on Fridays. Like we would each have a day, we would each do a podcast. It would each go about 20 minutes and that would be it. There was nothing, that was kind of the idea behind it. And there were a couple of people, like I think Dusty and Zach and Matub, that I had talked to about potentially coming on as soon as I sent that tweet out, and kind of did a little bit of recruiting. But the majority of it, a lot of the people were, coming in via when I sent out that tweet, and had 200 plus people respond to it and say, we're interested. So I had to narrow that 200 down and little by little. So I started basically by, do you have any, and I mean any, podcasting, radio, blogging, sports, any experience? It doesn't have to be anything major. You could have been writing for a small blog or something. You had to have something. It couldn't just be like, I'm just starting completely from scratch. You had to have something. Basically, was my first narrowing point. And then that got it down to a certain amount. And then I got it down. I don't even remember what the next step was, but I eventually got it down to probably, I don't know, I want to say maybe like 40, 50-ish people, something like that. And then from there, for a lot of the people, the vast majority, they had to submit a mock podcast or submit to me a podcast that they've already done. So a lot of them did, put together a podcast for the first time and put together like why they think they would be a good podcaster and why they'd make a good Packers podcaster and things like that. So narrowing that down again, and we had so many great people of that group that it was very hard to narrow it down, but B, that's where I decided, instead of going 5 days a week with one person on each show, we were going to do a full 7 days a week, and we would have 2 to 3 people on each show. And then I baked in about 5 people as backups, where if ever anybody couldn't go, then they would have 5 people they could reach out to as backups that they could potentially fill in. So we finally got to that core of like, I don't know, 24 people, something to that extent. Some people were going every other week. Some people were in that backup role. And the next logical step, obviously, was, how am I going to pair these people together? Like, how is this possibly going to work? And I wish I had like something that I could tell you was like this aha moment or things like that. And some of them like came together a little bit over time as well. But like, for example, like Andrew and Kyle, I listened to Andrew and Kyle separately and just thought like, I bet these two would work really well together and sound really well together. And because of it, they end up in like this lifelong friendship, doing their own podcast together now still today. They've gone to Packer games together. And it was just sort of like, I think they would sound good together. I bet this would kind of work, and let's see how it goes. Matt Freilich and Janelle Mackey, another example of that. Obviously, Eli came to their team over time. I think Steve was actually part of a different one, and like Dusty was working with me. And then like, because I had to do some other stuff and brought some other people on, I asked kind of like Steve and Dusty, would they go together? And then Steve and Dusty worked great together. And then it wasn't long after that Sarah came on and joined that group, which is just like, again, a perfect fit, match made in heaven stuff. So some of it was like legitimately like trying to figure out who would work well together, who would complement the other ones. And the fact that, you know, even starting off, like they all worked. And some of them worked better than others. And again, we've kind of made some tweaks over time. But the fact that all of them worked to some real extent is one of the more real magical things that have ever happened as a part of the podcast. Because there was almost like a Noah's Ark of like just kind of pairing off 2 by 2 at some point of like, all right, you two try together, you two try together. And then the fact that, again, some of these people are now like best friends to this day or that still work together is really something that's so cool and remarkable and one of my favorite aspects of the entire process. And just the last thing on top of that, the recruiting thing unbelievably helped. I mean, just to be able to understand how to sort through applicants and narrow down and kind of funnel them into the ones that are going to be the highest quality. That to me has been something that has helped me unequivocally to this day. And the last thing I'll just add on top of this is as amazing. And I say this a lot, but it's so true. As amazing podcasters that all of them are, they're so much better people. And like, I want to like just point something out for a second. I hope I'm not jinxing anything here.
No,
we're today. Let me just double check the number here. Today we are at 2,595 episodes, consecutive days, I should say. So 2,595 consecutive days is where we are at. All time we're at 3,882 episodes in that. And do you want to know how many complaints that I have got over something that somebody said, or maybe something came across derogatory, or something was like misconstrued in a weird way or something like that? I received one complaint from Jersey Al, who talked to me about Ross Uglum, who said he said something like it was kind of like a racist terminology, and they completely just misheard Ross. It was like he like heard one thing, and I'm like, "There's no way Ross said that." And I went back and listened to it, and it was a completely misheard sentence altogether.
Oh,
where like I pointed it back out to Jersey Al, and he had a big laugh about it because it was very clearly not what this person had thought it was. That was the only time in the entire history of the podcast that I've had anybody get any throwback because of anything like that. So again, hope I'm not jinxing anything, but that's the quality of people that we've had on it from day one.
Jersey Al is always watching. He's always present in the background. You know, he's amazing. The strength of the different teams never fails to like astound me, Andy. Like over the time I've been listening to the podcast since COVID, you know, almost the whole run of the show, even like when the teams change up, it's always like another good group that comes in, and to the point where like each one has its own flavor. It's like its own podcast. Like Wednesday Pack a Day obviously is part of the Pack a Day thing, but for me it's its own thing, and that's the same for every single day. You know, Jason and Mark on Thursdays, I feel like that's a whole different podcast I listen to. You know, like just every single one of those groups. And that's one of the things I like about the podcast broadly is it's like I can subscribe to one thing. I get all these different voices throughout the week with their own characters and you know, things to love about them basically. So it's a great concept, man. It's awesome.
Well, I think the cool thing there's a couple different things that goes into that. First, I kind of view it as like the Pack a Day Podcast Network. And one of the things that I told the team from day one is I know that obviously now it's changed a little bit in the fact that I have a daily kind of show as well, just because I'm doing the YouTube video and it just makes sense to upload the audio as well. But I told everyone from day one, I don't want this to be, you know, the Andy Herman podcast with everyone else. I just wanted my day to be like everyone else's day. And again, I know that's obviously evolved over time because of what I do and making it my full-time job and things like that. But I've just wanted to be one of the other people podcasting. And the other thing that I've really stressed is I want them each to be their own podcast. We go in season. We have, so there's two different times in season. We have a little bit of like a general format. So like Monday's post-game show, Tuesday's like a deep dive, film kind of review. Wednesday looks ahead to offense versus the next team's defense. Thursday's defense versus offense. Friday's key matchups and X factors. Saturday's injury report. Sunday's pregame show. But that's like just basic nuts and bolts of like kind of getting it going, and more of like in season to make sure that all of the episodes aren't the same as the other one, because it'd be really easy for the Monday show to do the same thing as the Tuesday show as the Wednesday show. And then we transition and like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are all doing the same thing. Sunday's doing the same thing. So that's more of just to give you like a narrow bridge into a general topic so that we're not all talking the same thing. But the big thing and then same thing during draft time, right? During draft time, we usually have it planned out for the month of who's going to talk about what prospects or what position groups or things like that, just so that everyone doesn't talk about, the same 10 prospects all the entire time. And it just gets really old really fast. So there's a couple things in there that we really kind of focus it on. But other than that, the big thing that I stress is I want everyone to have their own podcast, and I want everyone to have their own voice and their own opinions and everything like that. And I've talked to people specifically as well, because there's been at times a couple of people have been like, well, I don't want to, go into a topic that maybe you've already covered. And I said, no, please do. Like, make it your own thing and bring it in your own avenue. Obviously, if we're just talking about the exact same talking points, then yeah, it probably doesn't make a ton of sense. But I want you to cover, I don't mind if you cover that same topic in your same voice with your same, whatever core group of people that you're covering it with that day. That's going to sound inherently different. And just the last thing on top of that is, for me, well, again, I'm out there every day. If people want to listen to that, I also don't feel like I want to give people the opportunity to hear other voices. If everyone just sounded like me or was saying the same thing over and over that I was saying, there's no need for it. Then there's no difference of opinions. There's no, there's no change up or anything like that. So I think the strengths of it is that there are different voices, different opinions, and all of those groups, to your point, like Dusty, Steve, and Sarah make me laugh every single week that I listen to their pod. Like there is a constant smile on my face the entire time, and it just brings me joy listening to it, whether they're talking about Oreos or whether they're talking about the most insane minutia of Dusty breaking down film, everything between. I just have a huge smile on my face the entire time.
Right.
I think there's certain ones that have like unbelievable chemistry together. There's other that like I love like Mark and Jason are just like so comfortable with each other that they're like interrupting each other and going back and forth, and like they're both like just ready to get there. I love that. And I'll hear people sometimes like, will they let each other finish? I'm like, no, please don't. Please like keep this energy up and please keep going back and forth. And to your point, Matt, like they each have their own unique, distinct show. And I love that, and I wouldn't change a second about it.
Well, we love it too. So
Thank
keep
you.
doing it. Yeah. As listeners, Matt, I know I speak for Matt as well. We have some good questions in the chat, but let's see if we can whip through these first. But yeah, it's really interesting how that kind of folded into your human, your career, which you were working last time you were on our show full time, and then you were doing this full time. So you had 2 full-time jobs.
Basically,
Which is crazy. So, so let me see where that question is. Sorry. So it was about 2 years ago, I think. You had just returned from the draft in Las Vegas.
Sure.
And that was Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Christian Watson, Sean Ryan, Dobbs, Zach Tom. Anyway, since then, what have been the big changes in your life, both professionally with your podcast, but also just generally speaking professionally? And if you want to talk about it personally, for example, you left your job to become a full-time Packers contributor. And I personally wondered, how has that affected your family life? They must love it working from home. Do you have more flexibility now or less? And I'm hoping you have more time, since I'm guessing you're not juggling 2 full-time jobs.
Insanely, I feel very much like I have less time. It's funny. One of the things that I did prior to switching over is I talked to people that have made this transition, and I'm hugely thankful to Tom Grassi, who took the time to talk to me ahead of time of like what his transition was like. I talked to Peter Bukowski about it and his transition, amongst other people. When I say I dotted my I's and crossed my T's, I mean to the nth degree before making that full jump over into to covering the team full time. One of the things that both Peter and Tom said to a T is they said, you're going to think as soon as you make this transition that you're going to have all this time. You're doing the same stuff, but now your 40-hour plus, way more than 40-hour plus week job is now gone. So you're going to have so much time on your hands, and you will, as soon as this starts, you will immediately start thinking, how in the hell did I have a full-time job on top of this? And no truer words have ever been spoken to me in my entire life. It's a really interesting dynamic. I don't even know, because you hear it, right? I heard them say it to me. I heard it, and I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, I'm doing this now already. And now I don't have to do this part where I drive into work 50 hours a week and drive home from work. Yeah, there's no question I'm going to have a lot more time. And you don't. And it like some sort of space-time continuum paradox. I don't know what the hell it is, but there is something, I think in all seriousness, is when that becomes your full-time job, you look at every opportunity as either an opportunity to do something more or to have a missed opportunity. Whereas like, if I'm working my full-time job and it's like, well, I'm not going to get to that bonus episode, or I'm not going to get to that live Q&A, or I'm not going to get to whatever, it's my bonus, it's my side hustle, whatever. Now, like every little thing that comes up, I'm like, nope, I'm doing that. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And your time just fills up in a really ridiculous way. And of course, I've taken on other things too, like the radio show in the morning. I've taken on some Bleacher Report stuff as well. So it's not like I'm just doing the exact same stuff that I was before. And obviously now, again, doing a daily video every single day and audio and everything. And I like to think that I've kind of increased to just some of the research and time and effort that I've put into things as well. So it all just takes that time. But no, I think that's kind of the crazy part is there's never enough time. And I wish I had more. And I like every single week, I have a list of things that I wanted to get to that I just didn't get to. And every single season, or every time I get to draft season, I'm like, you couldn't have studied like a guy like every single day for 15 minutes just to start to get to know this draft class better. And I always go with those intentions, and it just never gets done because there's so much going on at all times that it's really difficult to kind of parse that out. But that's obviously been the big change since that time is moving away from that job and doing this full time. Taking on the radio gig has been another piece of that. And then I think the other thing that people don't see, which I obviously love, is obviously both of my boys have gotten older. They're very involved in sports. We have 7 days a week of youth sports in our house. So there is, I mean, from legitimately until from like 3:30 until about, I would say 8 o'clock, just about every single day, I am picking up, transporting, going to practices, going to the next practice, bringing to a different event. I mean, my oldest is in basketball, soccer, and he's in soccer like 6 days a week, gymnastics, flag football, everything you can imagine. My youngest is in flag football, soccer, speed training. My oldest is in speed training as well. So like there's just all of that stuff, but it's really fun. Obviously, like just the car rides and just getting to go to all their practices and games and having that flexibility. That's been really, really fun as well. So most people see me again, maybe during the day, and there's a lot of work late at nights, but that I would say about 3:30 till about 8:30 PM time is definitely full family time every single day.
As a father of two kids, it makes my heart sing to hear that. Cause one of my favorite phrases is that time is the currency of love. And so the fact that you are able to do all this content creation, for which we're so grateful, but still have the time for your family, dude, you're living the dream. That's awesome.
It is. I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And there's a lot of very, short sleep nights, especially during the season, during draft time, things like that. There's definitely some times where I get to 2 a.m. and I'm like, I really don't want to record this podcast, but I'm going to get it out for everyone at 5 a.m. and things like that. So it definitely happens, but those are very small prices to pay in the scheme of things for getting to really live out my dream, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you are doing this. It just really makes me happy. Tom Grassi and you both. It's been fun to watch both of you. It's just super great. One of the things that I thought was just maybe kind of leans into this is walk us through a typical day during the season and during the off season of yours. So you might have kind of touched on that a little bit, but do you have a typical day? I mean, you probably have to have a schedule. I know one thing, I look back at what I used to do and it's like, how did I do all that? Like, how did I do all that? But I always had a really tight schedule, like plans. Is that how it works for you too?
Yeah, I mean,
have a typical day?
Yeah, I mean, it varies by day, but I pretty much know how every day is going to go for the entire year. I mean, there's limited times to go on vacations, depending on what's going on in the NFL calendar. I know usually what time frame those vacations are going to take place on. I know in season what my schedules are going to look like. Obviously, the soccer, basketball throws a couple wrinkles in here and there. But yeah, there's a hard schedule, and then we put out, my wife and I put out a logistical email every single week to make sure we've got every single thing that we've got on our plates kind of covered throughout the course of the week as well. So there's just a lot of communication that goes into that. But, on a given day, on a weekday, and it's not. So the interesting thing is you get to the end of the season, and every single year I trick myself as well into like, all right, season's done. I can relax a little bit, and it's going to be like just a little bit different now. It's not going to be as hectic. And there's a small level of truth to that. But the larger level of truth is that in season, there's a lot going on, but there's all the news, not all of it. Obviously there's a level of research and grading plays and things like that goes into it, but there's a lot going on. And so that stuff comes to you naturally. Like I don't have to go hunting out for a topic in season, right? Like the topics come to you pretty naturally because of what's going on in season. You've got a matchup coming up. There's a trade deadline. Like all of those topics kind of take care of themselves inherently. In the off season, it doesn't do that. There's certainly some that do, all right, free agency's coming up. Let's talk about some free agents. So they signed Aaron Banks. All right, let's talk about Aaron Banks. And then obviously the times that they trade for Micah Parsons or the draft is going on, things are great. But there's a huge chunk of the offseason, which is, 7 months long, that those things are not inherently coming to you. So you have to go out and research, watch tape, brainstorm ideas. So that stuff inherently takes more time as well. So it's just a difference. In season, there's more going on. You're usually doing a little bit more podcasting with, different, content creators and things like that. But in the off season, while that calms down a bit, it's just harder to kind of come up with the topic ideas and have something new every single day. But the general schedule is the radio show starts at 8:00. So I'm usually up at 7:30 a.m. Quickly kind of get ready and I already had the radio show prepared from the day before, but, so 7:30 wake up, get ready, prepared, just go downstairs in my office here to do the radio show. That goes from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Then from about 9 a.m. to, I would say, like 11:30, it's just literally like a laundry list of items of like, usually I have my list here, usually doing the kids' laundry. I'm getting like the tweets out for the day of like, here's the podcast that we did through the day and what's coming up. I usually am, obviously just again, getting ready for the day. I usually go on like a 45-minute walk just every single day just to try to get steps in, upload the TikTok video, do the radio prep for the next day, record my Bleacher Report episode. Let's see, get out any sponsored tweets or anything like that might come out. And then like, there's usually something like today was like going get my car washed and going to the bank, like just like legitimate, like things like that. I have today I'm not grading plays from a season, but I'm going through and grading all of Micah Parsons plays from last year. So that's on my to-do list. And like doing the dishes and just things like that. So like from like 9 a.m. until like, I would say about 1 p.m. is usually just that laundry list of things that is usually like repeatable things every single day. And then from like 1 to 3:30 p.m., usually I have some sort of, especially in season, I'm doing a radio hit with Marcus Eversole on Mondays. I'm recording with Paul Farrington on Tuesdays and like Paul Brettel during the day on Tuesdays, Carmen on Thursdays, Mike Wall, Justice, like I'm doing some sort of collaboration during that time. Then, like I said, 3:30 to about 8:30 is usually when I have the family time, bringing to soccer practices, all of that sort of stuff. Then like somewhere between 8:30 and usually like 9:30, I usually have either again a podcast that I'm doing or hopping on something with you guys or doing a radio hit with some nighttime thing or something like that. And then honestly, from about 9 until 1 usually is either editing and uploading the podcast that I recorded during the day, or then recording the episode and then editing it, uploading it, and then also trying to get as much research in as I can so that I have the information for future episodes and podcasts and things like that. And that is legitimately, and then I get to bed usually about 1:30 every morning, wake up at 7:30 and start the entire process over again. So I think a lot of it goes, sometimes I think unnoticed of like, oh, you hop on a radio show for an hour, you do a Bleacher Report little episode, you hop on an episode with Justice for an hour, and maybe you watch a little tape or something. It's like a 3-4 hour. No, it's like it pretty much takes the entirety of my day. And obviously, again, there's some family things, there's some laundry, there's some dishes, there's some things like that go along in that as well. But the entire day is filled to the brim. And every single time I'm like, I don't know how I fit any more into this. And that usually becomes the problem.
Yeah.
I think when I think of you, Andy, one of the first words that comes to mind is consistency. So it's no surprise that like your days have a structure, like so you can continue to churning out all the stuff that you do consistently with such a consistent level of quality. I just want to add to that, like, is that I realized recently, I think the voice I hear the most in a given week is yours because of how much of the stuff I'm listening to. And just thankful for the fact that it's always quality. You know, I don't know how you do it. It's remarkable.
It's a weird thing because, as I mentioned, I usually edit and upload, and I upload usually at like 1 a.m, and then the episode goes live at 5 a.m. And then, when I say I edit, for the most part, I have it down. I'm not going through and re-listening to the entire episode. I can hear it live if something that I said needs to get edited out. I usually make, on average, I probably make one edit per episode would be my guess. And a lot of times it's not that, but I bet on average it's like one edit, like small edit where I like had to stop. And then a lot of times it's like a cough or a sneeze or something.
Yeah.
And so I quickly clean that up, but I don't have the time, quite frankly, to go back and re-listen to the entire thing. So I have an idea of it in my mind of like what I said, what I did, and like how I felt about the podcast. But it's a really, really weird feeling of waking up at 7:30 in the morning, grabbing my phone each morning and, seeing like just looking at the comments and just sort of like the kind of the reviews and things like that. Not because I need like the, with like the feedback or necessarily anything, like just because like, did I say something like insanely stupid? Did I say like, did I say Aaron Rodgers for like 10 minutes instead of Jordan Love or something like that? Because that, you can have that happen. So there's always like this little like slight panic mode of every morning at like 7 a.m. of like, all right, did the podcast upload the right way? Did I anything like stupid that I said? Did I upload the wrong one? Or like, there's always that momentary panic. So, and the other crazy thing with that too is you would be just astounded by the time where I'm like, man, I did not like how that one went at all. It just was not my favorite. I don't think I hit across the points that I wanted to get across. And I go to bed kind of bummed out. And then I wake up the next morning, like, oh, it's the best episode you've ever done. Like, I cannot believe it. Like, that was unbelievable. Thank you so much. And then like the ones where I'm like, oh yeah, that was freaking perfect. Like I could not have nailed that anymore if I tried. And it's just like negative comment. I'm like, what the hell do I know?
Yeah, we know nothing. We as content creators, that's something I've learned, on a smaller scale, but I know nothing. I never know. It's like, wow, that was popular. Why? That's crazy. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit more about Packers specific, and then we have some good questions in the chat. So we'll see if we can get you out of here in a decent amount of time. So this is from me, and I'm not sure if I'm going to word this properly, but do you agree that the Packers have come out looking like they don't have it together for the first games of the season more often than not? And what's your expectation for Sunday?
Yeah, I don't think the first week has gone, necessarily according to plan in totality in the Matt LaFleur era. I mean, there's the one game down in Jacksonville, the game they played New Orleans that was really brutal. I think in general, week one is just such a unique animal. And I talked to Justice about this the other day. I'm still a very firm believer, and I know they're never going to do it. I think week one should be AFC versus NFC for everyone every single year. Just because I think everyone's still feeling it out. Nobody's doing preseason the way that they probably should be doing it because they're all afraid of injuries. So make that first game matter. Make it obviously a regular season game, but AFC, NFC games are at least the ones that matter the least. You're not going to have tiebreakers. If you do lose, you're giving that win to the AFC rather than having it be against a team like Detroit in your own division or something like that. So I would love to see that just because I think teams are really feeling themselves out. And I don't think anyone really starts to hit their stride until like even like week 6, week 7, week 8, a little bit more around there. And certainly not in week 1. I think it's a little bit more of an issue throughout the course of the league of teams just not fully being just ingrained in the season yet, getting to know their team as well. That stuff just takes time. And when you're not willing to do it in preseason for obvious reasons, it makes it hard to be fully gelled going into the season. So I'll be honest, I would have picked Detroit in this game had it not been for the Micah Parsons trade, just because I think they have the attention to detail down. I think they're a really strong team. I think they have an identity. I think they know how to win really tough football games. I think it's a team in Green Bay that probably, again, just takes a little bit of time to feel itself out. I think, by the way, if that would have happened, and if it does happen, Green Bay will be totally fine. I think they're going to win their next 3 games after Detroit. If they would lose to Detroit, I think they can beat Washington, Cleveland, and Dallas, and get to 3-1 going into the bye, and everything will be totally fine one way or the other. But with the Micah trade, I do think that it just kind of galvanized the entire team. I think the locker room is pumped. I think it gave them a boost of energy. I think the crowd is going to be psyched. I think they are going to do the defense last coming out of the tunnel, which will be Micah Parsons' introduction. I think that place is going to be absolutely rocking. I think it's the first, home game for the opener in forever. I expect a really awesome crowd, and I expect a ton of energy. And I think it's enough to get the Packers over the hump. I think it's a close game, but this will be an interesting one. And I think the one thing to your point on is there were way too many games last year against good opponents where they went down early. The Philadelphia game where you got the Keyshawn Nixon fumble right away. They go down to the Lions big. They go to the Vikings big. You just can't have those deficits early on. We can't get to the second quarter in this one and the Lions have a 17-3 lead or something like that. You've got to come out ready to play right away. And I think we're going to know very early on if Green Bay has that in them from the word go.
I have such an immense amount of FOMO for when Micah Parsons is announced to the crowd on Sunday. I wish I could be there just for that moment. It's going to be amazing. I don't know if they would show that on TV or not, but
They'll
at least replay it, would be my guess. They'll definitely bring that to the table. Yeah.
I would think so. That was really big NFL news across, like national coverage.
For sure.
Oh, yeah,
so I'm hoping it's not. Yeah, I would think so. And we do have a good Micah Parsons question segue in here. But before I'll get to you next, I promise. So what are the expectations of Micah Parsons as a Packers, like generally and kind of overall, plus this year? Is there a ton on his shoulders? I mean, I kind of sense that the Packers got him because they think they can get to the championship this year. And have you seen him? I think I asked you this earlier in practice, or I think I had asked you if you had foregone practice with him.
Yeah, I haven't been at the practice with him, but I think the expectations are really high on him. It was the question that I asked him at the press conference. He was talking about being, loving ball and being a junkie for it and things like that. And I said, basically, you said you're a junkie for football. You know how these things worked. A team just gave up 2 first-round picks, a premium player, and a huge contract for you to come to Green Bay. What type of expectations comes along with that? What type of pressure comes along with that? He had a great answer. He's like, I'm excited for it. He's like, I understand what comes along with the territory. And he said that's you basically like sets the bar for him. It was like that. So, I think he's excited for it. But yeah, there absolutely comes, I think, a level of just pressure and expectations for Micah individually, and then certainly as a team as well. Listen, this is Goody's first time where this is his true team, his baby. Like this is, the last 2 years certainly were a large level of that, but those two teams, as good as they were, especially at times, they were not true Super Bowl contenders, right? Like those were still 2 young teams kind of feeling themselves out. And while they got to the playoffs and won a game a couple of years ago, those were still young up and coming teams. Now to me, and the years before that, I mean, it was so much Ted, right? Aaron Rodgers, Kenny Clark, you've got Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari, Corey Linsley. We can go on. Jair Alexander. Oh, no, sorry. Jair was Brian's, but you get my point. Like all those other players were so much carryover from Ted's group that it was still kind of his imprint and his hand on it. This is now Ted's, right? Like this is Brian's, my apologies. This is Brian's. He's put this team together in its entirety. Kenny was the last Ted Thompson Packer. He goes all aggressive and going and getting Micah Parsons. Like he has built this team in his image. And there's no question to me, he set the standard at the end of last year, beginning of the offseason, whatever one you want to call it, saying There needs to be a level of urgency in the organization, and it is time to start winning championships. He set the bar, and then he went and followed it up by drafting Matthew Golden in the first round, Aaron Banks, Nate Hobbs, and then, of course, Micah Parsons as well. So, no, there's no question. The expectation is Super Bowl. The goal in the Micah Parsons era, whether that's this year, next year, the following year, whatever, is to see him up on that podium holding up a Super Bowl trophy, a la Charles Woodson, a la Reggie White. That's the expectation. And if he can live up to it, awesome. And if not, well, then they're going to figure out and pivot to something different. But no question, that's what they're shooting for.
So exciting. Just to hear you say that, just imagine that. Like, oof. Chills.
All right, let's get to one of the viewers' question here, and this comes from USS Sports Car. Do you guys think Micah Parsons' force multiplier effect on the team will increase the performance of upcoming free agents, and then will receive a strong haul of comp picks, making up for the 2 ones?
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be anything to that level, right? So first of all, some of the ones that you're going to probably get comp picks for: Sean Ryan, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Rasheed Walker. A lot of those players could be potentially completely unaffected by Micah, right? Like it helps the team in totality, but Micah is not directly affecting any of those players. Now, for Quay Walker, it certainly could be something that affects him in some real way. I think if anything, Kingsley Enagbare probably comes a little bit less important. Now he goes to the 4th defensive end in this defense. And unless I'm forgetting something, I think on defense, it's really kind of Quay that would be the one. So I don't think it affects like the upcoming free agent class all that much. I do think that it helps the team as a whole. I do think it makes it more likely that they move on from guys like Quay, Rasheed, Sean Ryan, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, etc., just because there's less money available because Mike is taking a huge chunk of that. In which case, I think everyone's kind of expecting that there's a good chance that they do get 4 comp picks. But I think those 4 comp picks are probably going to live in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, probably not in that 3rd round, range, unless somebody just completely balls out to an insane extent. It would probably take Rasheed Walker being like basically like one of the best left tackles in football to get him to that contract where he's getting a 3rd round pick. And if that's the case, they might just want onto him at that point. So probably nothing in that regard. But certainly, I think when you talk about the other trade that they made, the much minor one for Kennard, like they traded a 2027 draft pick, 6th round pick, knowing very well that, yes, they traded away 1 6th round pick, but they're going to get 4 comp picks probably that year. That's going to make up for losing something like that. So now I don't think it's going to cover them from the Micah Parsons standpoint all that much. And I don't think his presence makes those picks maybe any more valuable. But I do think that it's going to help them in 2027 for sure.
Matt,
Don, do you have another one from the chat, or do you go back?
Andy, okay, I just got distracted. Andy, are you wearing bling, or is that your zipper?
Oh, this is just my my tie strings. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm like, no, Andy. I just saw. Sorry. Okay, chain. That's more on brand. I was like, oh, he's stepping out.
The funny thing, I was out at soccer practice and I had my hood up and tied my saying those tights because it was really windy and cold out, so I just never untied it.
Okay, no worries. It looks great either way. It's bling to me. Okay, so True North Packers fan. He says Packers will lose depth pieces due to signing Parsons, but Parsons will open up so many possibilities for the defensive scheme. What do you think about that? True, false?
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, he certainly opens up possibilities for the defensive scheme. There's no question about that. As far as like the depth is considered, yes, there's a piece of that's true. What I would add on top of that is one of the reasons that you can make this work for Green Bay is because, to me, Brian and the Packers front office, one of their true superpowers and one of the things that they're best at, to me, than maybe any other organization, is finding good players pretty much everywhere. They can find a Chris Brooks just chilling on the street. Like, all right, cool. We've got our 3rd down back. They can find a Bo Melton on a practice squad, an Alan Lazard on a practice squad, or Azul Douglas on a practice squad. Keyshawn Nixon is a 1-year vet minimum, $0 signing bonus free agent when they bring him in. Devondre Campbell's like a 1-year, $3 million deal when he becomes a first team All-Pro in his first year in Green Bay. Obviously finding guys like Zach Tom on day 3 of the draft. They found 3 starting offensive linemen in one draft without spending any of their first or second round picks on it. 3rd round pick in Sean Ryan, the early day 3 pick on Zach Tom, and then a 7th round pick on Rasheed Walker. Mm-hmm. This has been a team that has been able to find good, serviceable, helpful players everywhere. Street free agents, bottom of the draft, undrafted free agents, off of practice squads. It does not matter. What they've struggled with, quite frankly, is finding stars in the draft. Mm-hmm. They have not been able to do that as much. Enter Josh Jacobs, star. Xavier McKinney, star. Micah Parsons, star. And now maybe Edgerrin Cooper, star, and maybe you get a couple of these other players. I mean, and Zach Tom for an offensive lineman is pretty dang close too, right? We can give him maybe that one as well. And maybe Jordan Love now becomes a star. Maybe Matthew Golden can become a star. We'll see. But, to me, their superpower again is finding, like, we can just find good players whenever we need them. Like, we're short at this player at this point in time. We'll find somebody. Don't worry about it. We know how to do that. We're the best at it. But now they're adding somebody to the top of the roster. And I go through, let's say they don't sign any free agents next year. They don't draft a single player and they lose every single one of their free agents. You have starters at every single spot. You have guys ready to step up from Jordan Morgan and Anthony Belton on the offensive line. You have both your tight ends. You still have 4 starting caliber wide receiver, at least 3. And then Savion Williams is a really interesting lottery ticket as that 4th one. You've got still 3 running backs in the backfield. You've got your quarterback. You've got everything that you still need. On defense, it's the same exact thing. We could go through it one by one, but you have everything. You have a starting offense and defense and special teams next year, outside of Daniel Whelan, who's a restricted free agent, basically, without signing a single person, without re-signing a single person, and without spending a single draft pick. They're going to be able to replenish that depth by doing a few of those things along the way. I don't have a ton of concern about that at the moment.
Matt, I think that speaks to my thought was that's why trading away a couple of 1st round picks showed me that management felt exactly what you were saying. Because we're ready, like we have what we need. I mean, you never want to just give it away, but I think that shows a lot of confidence in what we have.
Here's the thing for Goody. He earned the opportunity to make that deal, right? Like, so he mentioned in his press conference, he's like, there are a lot of other teams that this deal for us, or just other teams around the league, that this deal would not make sense for. Mm-hmm. What he's basically saying is, we have a young team that's super talented, that's been to back-to-back playoffs, that is maybe a player away. And he doesn't believe in the player away, but is a big-time star away from being able to compete at the highest of levels, right? So you don't do that deal if you did not put yourself in this position in the first place. You earned the ability to go out and make this deal because you have the youngest team in the league that's been to back-to-back playoffs, that didn't lose anything this offseason already, that is ready for this type of transaction. So
100.
This is exactly what you should be doing when you've put together the team that he has done. And now you go for it. That, like, if you're not, it's an opportunity cost by not trying to open that window when it's staring you right in the face. Like, there probably will never be a better time than right now for this team to make that type of deal. Whether it works or not, that remains to be seen. We don't know. Like, that's the journey. That's the fun part that we get to experience. Yeah. Does it live up to expectations, or are they going to have to course correct in some way? But there's never been, and there never will be, a better time than right now for this specific version of Brian Gutekunst's team.
It's crazy how much stuff came together to make it happen, from the team being in exactly the right place to having the enough of a depth in the positions that, we're going to be losing people from, to the fact that we just caught a dude who was mad at Jerry Jones and kind of, just the perfect timing. Every time I stop and think about everything that had to line up for this to actually happen, it just blows my mind. And here we are. Micah Parsons, a Packer.
Perfect storm. Yeah. Perfect storm.
Yes. And it does, like, and what, to Andy's point too, and your point, Matt, it gives me so much confidence in the management of the Packers. I was listening to John Gruden earlier. I didn't get to listen to the whole thing. He's so crazy. Oh my God. But I have to take him in bits and pieces, but he's so knowledgeable. But he used to be, a coach for the Packers. And he talked about, he's like, draft and develop. They drafted Reggie White and went to the Super Bowl when I was on the team. So, it's that balance. You can't always draft and develop. There are times when you have to take advantage, but you don't take advantage of that unless you've got the money, right, sitting there, and you have drafted and developed to a certain point. But yeah, you can't necessarily do all or nothing. Love it. Okay. So I think I asked that question. Okay. So now this jumps back. Okay, let me just make sure I got all the Micah Parsons stuff out of the way. Okay, I do. Okay, so back to Matt's wonderful questions. Love these questions. So almost done. Who do you see, since you're so good at this, who do you see, Andy, as being some of the best up and coming young Packers content creators? And by young, we don't necessarily mean in age, right? Of course.
That's a great question. There's definitely a couple that come to mind. The first one that I want to shout out is Easton Butler, and I don't know what he's obviously writing for Packer Report. I don't know where his sources are or where he's getting the stuff. I don't really care. I don't know if he's a time traveler that's just coming back and letting us know what happened in the future. I don't know what it is, but that dude was on top of cuts, releases, practice squad signings, and completely on top of the Micah Parsons thing as well. So he deserves a huge shout out for his coverage. I mean, about every single, like every other cut or every other practice squad signee that I was attributing to, a reporter or the first to report it. I mean, Easton was on like literally like 50% of them. So I think what he is doing is really remarkable. I think he kind of stands out right now. I mean, it's so funny because the space is so unique and so the word saturated is strong, but there's so many great content creators already in the space that I think there's probably a lot of new up and coming people that that don't even necessarily come up on my radar just because there's so much that's out there already. And I mean, what do we define as, like, to me, Camille Davis? Like, Camille Davis is still generally, she's been doing this now, especially from a Bucs standpoint for a while. From a Packers standpoint, it's probably like maybe a year or two, but still like relatively early on. But my goodness, like just insanely talented, and so happy that she's part of the Pack-A-Day team. She's going to be doing an extra show for Cheesehead TV this year as well. She is phenomenal. So yeah, there's probably a multitude of people that off the top of my head, I'm just like mistakenly not thinking of in the moment. But I think the bigger thing that I will just pivot to is say we are so insanely blessed in the Packer sphere from people that cover the team insanely close. I mean, like the beat reporters to the layer of analysts to the film people to the draft people to like just every layer of it, the cap people, all of it. Like we have everything covered and have everything that you could basically possibly want at any given moment. To your point, Matt, like you can fill your feed with over 24 hours of podcast stuff basically just in a single day right now from some of the stuff that's out there. So it's really an incredible time to be a Packers fan, and whatever it is that's your cup of tea, there's somebody out there covering it in that regard.
Yeah, and the fact that people can find their own like niches, their own specialties within all of that is what part of what makes it so amazing.
Big time, no question.
It really does. So our final quick questions are the questions that we asked you a couple of years ago. We ask everyone at the end of our interviews. And my favorite question to ask, who in your life can we thank for supporting you so you can do what you do for our community?
Yeah, there's a few actual answers to this. The first and biggest one is my family. There was a lot of times where I was working two jobs. I mean, just when I have two small kids, right? When they're 1 and 4, and I'm like, sorry, Sundays I've got to do stuff, and like that's on top of a full-time job, and that's not easy things to do. And there's obviously some sacrifices that come with it. I would love to go to, like, my son has, and trust me, I would love to go to his game this Sunday. It's the game, soccer games at 3 p.m. Obviously I'm going to be in the press box at 3:30, well before that, for the Lions game. And it's a pretty solid consolation prize. I'm not going to add, like, not complaining here, but there's definitely things like that. And so there's absolutely sacrifices that take place from my entire family to be able to do what I do. And missing out certain times, like when I get home and at 8:30 I'm doing things, still on podcasts. I'd love to be reading them a bedtime story, whatever the case may be. Sometimes lose out, unfortunately, on some of that stuff. So that's number one. Number two is I never, ever, ever get to compliment the entire podcast team that I have enough and all the incredible things that they do on a day-to-day basis. It's just remarkable that every single day there's a new podcast that just shows up in my email or my, a variety of different way, however they get it to me. There's just a new completed amazing podcast that just shows up to me every single day from this incredible group of people. Like I don't have to wipe their ass. I don't have to beg for it. I don't have to be like, remember it's 8 p.m. I need it by 8:05. Nope. Just every single day, a new amazing podcast comes to me, totally completed, good to go by unbelievable people. Like, I cannot ever thank them enough for all the time, effort, and that goes from everyone that's done anywhere from 1 episode to 500 episodes and anything in between. That group of people is amazing. And then just like I'll just shout out in particular, Jersey Al for giving me the opportunity at Cheesehead TV. Without that, I'm probably doing something on a very small scale somewhere just because I'd be doing something no matter what. But it's a totally different ballgame if I never get in on Cheesehead TV for that kind of like, initial real opportunity to get in front of more Packers fans. And then, Aaron Nagler, I don't think gets anywhere near enough credit for somebody in his space. All right. Especially the way that he came up and him and Corey came up and did things their way and, made a space for themselves. I cannot tell you how many people that would have done that the same way and came up their way and created that niche for themselves would have blocked everyone else off and said, this is our space, get the hell out. We don't want any other competing. We don't want a Pack-A-Day podcast to be, like adjacent to us, even if it's kind of like a mutual, like we work together at times and things like that. We would rather we have Cheesehead TV and people come to that. They don't have to. And obviously Aaron, a huge piece of that, they don't have to support those. The way that Aaron was and is so insanely supportive of so many people in that sphere and bringing them up rather than like cutting their legs out under them, which some people in that sphere would absolutely do, but view it as competition or a challenge or like, we don't want that. It's really remarkable. And if you look at how many people have come up through Cheesehead TV or that he has, Camille Davis, he found for at least that's how I found him originally. She's on Pack-A-Day. Sarah Keller, same thing, was on Cheesehead TV first. Yes. And then came over to Pack-A-Day. Perry Goldstein, same thing. Like there's been crossover, right? But the fact that he has been able to be such a huge supporter of myself and so many people in the space, and it's never been protective. It's never been stay out of our lane or anything like that is really admirable and really remarkable. And I really appreciate that so freaking much about him.
Oh,
that's huge.
great.
Yeah. It always comes back to Jersey Al every time when people start talking about who they're thankful for. It always comes back to him.
It starts with Jersey Al for sure.
Huge props to Nagler, of course. I mean, he's
of course
an OG.
Yeah. Well, this is a clip. I will clip this and tag those guys because they need to hear this for sure.
Yes.
Love that so much. Okay. And our final question is about our beloved NFL and Packers online community. One thing you love, and we asked you this in 2023, so I'm curious how much this answer might have evolved since then. If you remember, I will. I'll find out because I'll look it up. One thing you love the most, one thing you would change, anything different from 3 years ago? Have you seen changes in social media fandom?
Sorry. Can you repeat the general question? It's like it's something that I like and something I would change in the Packers community, the Packers sphere.
Yep. Online Packers community. One thing you would love the most and one thing you would change if you had the power to.
Yeah. The thing that I love the most is really the collaboration that there is between so many of the different people. We kind of just talked about the Cheesehead TV Pack-A-Day thing. The fact that I can go on Locked On Packers, Peter Bukowski can come on the Pack-A-Day podcast or the Pack-A-Day radio show. The fact that there really aren't those silos. It's not like get off my lawn. I think the really smart people understand that there's an insatiable thirst for Packers content. And if we all bring each other up, we're all going to end up in a better space rather than trying to battle it out in some sort of fake, battle royale that doesn't even need to exist in the first place, because there's enough oxygen to go around for everyone rather than trying to cannibalize each other for no reason. So I love the fact that it's that, for the most part, a really open and collaborative sphere that has a lot of connections inside of it. Something I would change,
if you could.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in the Packers
magical
sphere.
powers. If you have magical powers.
Yeah, this is just, I guess, kind of lame. I just wish, I'll use Dusty Evely as an example. Dusty Evely is one of the best people that does what he does.
Mhm.
And I just wish that there was a better avenue for him to just be doing this full. We as Packers fans are at a disservice because Dusty Evely doesn't have that avenue to do this full time yet. And there's there's other people that I could obviously name in that same sphere that, again, we are at the detriment of, because we don't get more Dusty and we don't get, more of some of these people who do such an insane job of covering the team. But until you find that avenue, until you find that sphere where you can do it full time, it's just a really difficult thing. So I just wish that there was something more that was out there for people like Dusty, amongst others. And just, I just wish there was even a way that we could magnify some of these voices even more, because they're doing such insanely incredible work. And we would all love to see more of it. And it just is, of course, limiting because, all of them have different stuff going on as well. But I just wish there was a better opportunity for those people to get to higher pedestals quicker without having to, go through a grind. And I've been through that grind. I know that grind very, very well. And it's one that a lot of people do, that you grind and you grind and you grind and you grind. And that's just what it is. It's just a grind, and it never ends up being something that you can do as a full-time job. I very much understand and appreciate the fact that I've been blessed to be able to make that mine, but I just wish that mine wasn't like the rare story. And I wish there was a lot more that came that way. And there's a lot of really deserving people that should be doing this full time, that just right now, Tyler Brook, another great example of like, he's been through the ringer of like putting out incredible stuff after incredible stuff after incredible stuff, and just having the worst of luck. And again, it just is really hard to find that space that you can call your own. So I wish that all those people could just magically have that. And because it's more than well deserved.
Every single guest on the show has a very different, unique answer for that. That's a new one. That's a great answer, Andy. Appreciate that perspective.
I love that. And I also firmly believe in speaking things into existence. So the fact that you said that might give it more power too, especially Dusty.
So.
But
he deserves it for sure.
So many, like you said, there are so many deserving. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's always good to chat with you. I wish you could talk to you like every day for an hour.
You can check us out on the Pack a Day podcast every day. At least you can hear my voice every day. I can pretty much get
that. I sure do.
Yes, and that's what we'll leave with. So anyone who doesn't know this, anyone who's new to this podcast, I have a lot of true crime NFL fans. Doesn't matter what team you follow Andy Herman, follow any of the Pack a Day podcasts. Find the one that you like the most, because it's 7 days a week. And Andy, thank you. It's so good to see your face. And yay, it's Go Pack Go time Sunday. I can't even believe this is happening. I'm still kind of like, it's really football time. And we're going to see the Cowboys get beat tomorrow. How fun. What a great way to start.
Yep. Kenny Clark is a Cowboy. It's going to be weird.
It's going to be so strange. Yeah, Andy, thank you so much for the consistently excellent quality of the work you do, for the volume, for being a person who's like brought other people up through your podcast and the stuff you do. I appreciate you, man. You're awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that a ton. And thank you guys so much for having me.
See you soon.
Thanks, Andy.
Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.
So as Andy's going out there, I'm going to throw on True North here. Said, insatiable thirst for Packers content. I'm currently watching a Packers podcast about other Packers podcasts. I may have a problem. So say we all, True North. Indeed.
So many podcasts. I mean, that's the reason Matt and I, and by the way, happy start to our 5th year
Oh,
together,
yeah.
Maddie?
We ripped right past that since we wanted to get into it with Andy. Yes, it's the
Yeah,
beginning of
Andy
our
is
5th
the more
season,
important.
episode 1.
We're
season
starting our
5.
5th year, and the reason we're here, by way of reminder, is because we like to highlight our top picks every week for content creators for the Packers world, because there's so much to choose from, and it can be overwhelming. Like, even somebody who's in the thick of it, Andy's like, there's new people I don't even know. They're not even on my radar yet. And I know that's the case with me. Sometimes I'll have to do like hashtag Packers podcast to find new people to watch because I want to hear. So we're really lucky to have so much.
And for us to have this platform, however small, to shout out people who are lesser known, while still giving kudos to the heavy hitters like your Dusties and Andys and Tom Grossi's, etc. I feel like just so fortunate to have this, this time with you, Dawn, to like find those people who deserve a little extra shine. So
yeah, we're doing our part.
That's what our show is. That's what our show is.
Yeah, right, that's what our show is. And we're doing our part. And like Andy says, sometimes you have to grind for a while before people pick up on it. But hey, we're having fun while we do it.
That's right.
Well, Maddie. It's time for this week's Superlatives.
Dawn, you caught me by surprise. That was perfect. Well, Maddie, boom.
I know. I'm figuring it out.
Perfect timing.
Maddie, I know you have a plethora of superlatives. I have a few.
God.
I have a few. I kind of have a theme. Should I get us rolling, like warmed up?
Yeah. If you have a theme, I think just spin yours out, then I'll spin mine out. Okay. So just straight you then me. Okay.
I'm having a theme here, and I'm sort of embracing my mean girl genes because I didn't do that when I was always a nice girl who liked everybody. But now I've noticed a lot of, I don't know, getting over the skis. I love fandom, and and by the way, to every fan out there, no matter what team you're following, good luck to you, and I hope you have a great time this year.
Totally.
I love that. What I don't love is like all the snark. I just find it unnecessary. I know some people love that and they get off on it, so I'm not going to criticize it in any way. But I have noticed, as I mentioned when Andy was on, a little extra snark from the Lions fan, and we haven't played one single game yet. So I'm just going to talk about my first superlative as most underwhelming rivalry. Okay. Should I even use that word, rivalry? Yeah. The NFC picture for prospective Lions fans have not been sufficiently humbled the last few years. I know they've done well, but they should have been humbled considering where they ended up at the end of the season. And they're already out there huffing and puffing about how well they did in the NFC the last 2 seasons. Congratulations, by the way. Good for you after 100 years. That's wonderful. But as a Packers fan, winning is expected. So let's talk Lions history in the NFC.
Ooh, go for it.
Just as a humbling or just as a reality check. Detroit Lions division champions in, not 100 years. Let me take that back. In 96 years history. 96 years history. 6 division championships.
6. Wow.
20 playoff berths. They did have 4 NFL league titles. That was prior to the merger and the Super Bowl and all that jazz. So congratulations for that, Lions fan. 4 conference wins, of course. 0 Super Bowl wins. Wah, 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 wah. Sorry, Lions. Compared to the Packers, who, by the way, are on the top of the NFC North. And I know sometimes we don't have good seasons, but hey, we're still at the top with 21 division championships, 37 playoff berths, 11 NFL league titles, 9 conference wins, 4 Super Bowl wins, and 13 championships.
That's right. That's the number.
So when you're out there huffing and puffing, Lions fans, just remember where you came from. And, we all want you to do well. Iron sharpens iron.
Sure.
We'd like not to just call in every win that we have against the Lions. We'd like to have a little competition. So good luck with your season, Lions fans. Okay, next one.
Dang. It was not so long ago. It was not so long ago that John Meerdink compared playing the Lions to going to the DMV. Like something you had to do. It wasn't exciting. You knew it was going to go your way. It was not so long ago. That's the team they were.
Exactly. And probably will be again shortly. So whatever. But let's hope not. Because I used to feel sorry for them, but I don't anymore because the fans are just driving me bananas. I mean, they were even in our little podcast last year trolling us. It's like, come on, you little children. Come on. Don't you know what it's like to win? Anyway. So 5 best Lions slanders. And these are 100% factual. When was the last time the Lions missed the playoffs? Oh, 2022. It was only a minute ago. They needed a win against the Green Bay Packers. Who? The Green Bay Packers to secure a playoff spot. But the Packers' victory over the Seahawks eliminated them from contention. Right. Wouldn't be this way if you guys weren't all such brats. Really, seriously, you're making me into a mean girl. When was the last time the Lions won a playoff game? Out of 96 years, very few times. But in 2023, the Detroit Lions beat the Buccaneers in the divisional round, but they lost the conference and didn't make it to the Super Bowl. So again, keep huffing and puffing, okay? Keep it up. Maybe you were just practicing. I don't know. What years did the Lions make the Super Bowl? Oh, when was that? Oh, the Lions have never even appeared in a Super Bowl. The closest they came to playing in a Super Bowl was in 1991 and again 2023 when they lost the conference championship to the Ravens. Oh, well. Number 4. When was the last time the Lions were in the playoffs? Well, last year, the Lions made the playoffs in 2024. Congratulations. When they lost the divisional round, they've been in the playoffs a total of 19 times in their 95 seasons. So they're used to losing in the playoffs. They really are. In 2024, the Detroit Lions lost to the Washington Commanders in the divisional round. Sorry, Commanders were really good. That's how it works. And number 5, that year the Lions hosted a playoff game, but again, the Detroit Lions last played a home playoff game on January 18, 2025. Oh, that was this year. That was so recent. You'd think they'd remember, these fans. They would remember. When they hosted the Commanders in the divisional round of the 2024 playoffs, in which the Lions suffered a 31-45 loss. It was ugly. And I think 31, some of those points were just garbage points. So for those who were trolling this channel or any other channel by, Packers channel, welcome to the new season and all the best with that history. Sorry, I'm just so over the line. Dang,
Dawn.
I know, wow. I'm mad.
You just cooked.
I'm gonna clip this for my Lions fan friends. Okay, so biggest lesson of last season. This is my final superlative. Biggest lesson of last season: trolling doesn't pay. Even if the Lions have a 17-win season this year, they're still the Lions with that history.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So not exactly a storied team. Not exactly.
So I just had to get that off my chest because I'm kind of I don't even do that much social media. And I pop on for a minute and I'm like, oh, good luck, Lions fans. And it's like, oh, yuck. No, not good luck to Lions fans. Just don't be jerks. Be nice.
Yeah, just be nice. Just be nice.
Like we're supposed to be rivals, even though you guys haven't been much of a rival, but you're supposed to be. And that's, that should be enough joy. You don't have to attack people personally or because they're fans of a certain team, just kind of keep it in perspective. Had to get that off my chest.
That was a masterclass, Dawn.
Thank you.
Well done.
I just had to do a little history there, and I was like, why are they so? Maybe they're just not used to winning, and that's where it comes from. So. And True North says, whoa, Dawn used the word brats. Can you say that on YouTube?
Content warning.
Yeah, I'm embracing my mean girl lately.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So, Maddie, what do you have?
Ooh, okay, so, this was... For so many reasons, this was a big week. Leading into the first game of the season, obviously, people are, like I said at the beginning of the show, all these shows are coming back online. So we have a lot of old favorite shows. So, there's a lot of content from that. And then add in the fact we just got Micah Parsons, exponentially exploded how much stuff was out there. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. And we were kind of talking, before the show earlier in the day, should we do superlatives? And I was like, there are so many things I want to talk about here. That I'd be remiss to not shout out a lot of these folks for the fine work they did, and this is really the tip of the iceberg. I had to really narrow it down just to get to 50 things I'm about to spool out here, but I'll do it quickly because we've already been going long. Okay, so my first one, best analysis, roster related. This is going out to our friend Wendell Ferreira. He wrote an article for A to Z Sports called Packers Face Tough Cap Questions After Micah Parsons Trade, and these players could be the next to go with succession plans in place. And that's the thing. There's a lot of doom and gloom, about we're going to lose this player and this player and this player because we can't afford them now because of the money going into Micah Parsons' contract. Well, the thing is, Wendell did this really great analysis of what this move will actually look like because of the succession plans in place. We might lose Quay Walker, but we have guys behind him who are ready to step up. We might lose Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. We have these other young receivers who we have in the wings who are coming up really fast. We don't want to see any of our favorites go. Seeing Kenny Clark go, obviously, it stung a lot for what a true, thoroughly Packer he has been.
Yes.
But, as people have to go based on how, we have to allocate our resources, it's still going to be fine. It's still going to be fine. And that's such a testament to how careful and measured Brian Gutekunst's approach has always been. I mean, when people are like, oh, that's a lot of money for Micah Parsons. Yeah, but it's not like we're putting out the credit card with something we can't afford.
Right.
Not just from the money perspective, but also from the roster building perspective. And so for Wendell to highlight that aspect of this, I really liked because it put a better perspective into it than just oh yeah, we're screwed. We're going to lose everyone, which is what a lot of the, gloom and doom is about. So hats off Wendell, best analysis, roster related. Next up, best analysis, scheme related. So, the question is what can we do with Micah Parsons? He's obviously a huge deal. But what's it going to look like, right? So Tyler Brook, who Andy mentioned there, has a YouTube channel that he's with called Best Available. He did an amazing breakdown of how we can use Micah Parsons. So what he did here, and by the way, that was called How Micah Parsons Unlocks Green Bay's Pass Rush. And so what he did is he took just one single game from last year. It was Cowboys versus must have been the Eagles. Who else would you do that with, right? And just showed examples from there of different things Micah Parsons was doing, each of which was super impressive. I like that Tyler focused on one game instead of just cherry picking. Here's a great thing from one game. Here's a great thing from another game. We're saying in the span of a single game, here are the highlights within that. So we see a variety of different sorts of things he's doing on that same day, which I think is the critical component. He can do such a wide variety of things at a crazy good level. So, that got me so pumped. I mean, I already knew Micah Parsons is amazing. We've all seen him play before. We've all seen the highlight clips even before he was even rumored to be traded because he's such an amazing player. But then for Tyler to so expertly, break it down, communicate it, what it can look like in different facets was typical excellent stuff from Tyler Brook is what it was. Before I move into the next one, Dawn, did you see either of those that I mentioned yet?
What was the first time? I already forgot the
first one was first one was Wendell's article about.
I think I saw Wendell's. I saw Wendell's article. I did not see Tyler Brook, and I love that concept. And again, it's just, I think the biggest thing that I take, obviously, from the Micah Parsons trade is, it obviously is great to get Micah Parsons and what he can do for the team and all that. But for the organization to be positioned in the way that they are, it's just like the macro part of it is what has me so excited.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I'm not worried about next season because I do think it's all in this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if we win a Super Bowl, a lot of other resources kind of open up, like in momentum and all that kind of thing. So
yeah. I'm
not worried too much because I don't think our management is reckless with the cap or stupid, like, allegedly stupid, like certain. I've already skewered the Lions, so I will shut up about Jerry Jones, but I don't love that man, and so his decision making is very questionable. So I just feel like this has given me just so much confidence in the team overall. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So all of these bits sort of give me and I'm more of a macro vision kind of person anyway. So, and I really interested in looking at the management of these teams. I think it's very interesting. Yeah.
It's fascinating. And thrown in such sharp relief at a time like this, where you see Jerry Jones might be senile. I don't know what his deal is. I mean, I went to I was out and about in Cincinnati last Friday night at a Reds baseball game, and there was a random dude in Texas. I think it must be the Astros, in an Astros outfit, and he stopped me because I had a Packers t-shirt on, which I was like, it's goofy to wear Packers gear to a Reds baseball game. I know, I wore it as a conversation piece, so people would stop me and do this kind of thing. So this guy's like, so what do you think of the trade, partner? He was just like the most Texas old dude, right? And so we had this really great conversation. He's like, I think Jerry Jones is senile. I don't know what his deal is. Just the whole thing about it. So yeah, he said it was hilarious. Just to see the contrast between Jerry Jones screwing up their team and the Packers making extremely shrewd, economical moves. 100%. Measured, yes, exactly. Well thought out, considered, careful moves that right. And with this amazingness. So right, yeah, putting in sharp relief.
It's wild. It's wild. I mean, let's just not forget Micah Parsons. 4 years in the league, right? If I got this right, 3 times DPOY. 3 times DPOY. What are you giving him away for? What are you doing?
Yeah. How could you 2 first-round picks that maybe could turn into somebody as good as Micah Parsons? Probably not. It's kind of a unicorn. So
right, even if you got another Micah Parsons, you would have to draft and develop him. Yeah. And I don't know how good the Dallas Cowboys are at that, but I'm sure they're okay, but not what their strong suit. They're not what they're known for. But anyway, yes.
Mismanagement.
Go on. Okay, I'm just so gleeful. I can't even stand myself.
I know. Gleeful is exactly the word, right? So, okay. Next one. This is a whole bank of them. Okay, Don. So just bear with me here. The category is best hype. And I'm going to talk about actually a collection of videos, hype videos, because I really wanted to just focus on one. And then I kept looking back through ones that I'd seen, reposted, saved. And it's just I can't narrow it down. So I will say one content creation team does take the title, but I'm going to have 4 other honorable mentions after that. Okay. So bear with me. Top prize for best hype goes to the Packers social media team. I know a lot of the work is done by Ethan Bacon on that, who does fantastic work, of course, because they didn't do just one amazing video. They did 2. They had the It All Starts Here hype video for the season, and then also the Spoken Into Existence that was more about Micah Parsons specifically. Both videos, tightly edited, great music. Both have you running through walls. So the fact that they had 2 that were so good, not only does that make them the first place for this category this week, but also the distance that the Packers social media team has come in a few short years from being
Yes.
like, to being like put on this kind of stuff, and like just being a really fun account, the Twitter account and a fun website, Packers.com. They have done such amazing work. And so like major props to them, to the Packers social media team, to Ethan Bacon for the work he's doing with the video editing and stuff. Phenomenal. So they take the cake, right? But I'd be remiss to not mention a bunch of other ones, starting with the one that was by at Natty Film, which is NA Productions. This was called Welcome to Green Bay. And so it was Micah Parsons. That it's like a video that featured Lombardi, like some kind of interview or something he must have done, some clinic. I don't know. So he's talking through like defense and interspersing that with like clips of Micah Parsons doing stuff and like, wrecking games.
Neat.
So like that was awesome. Like just to have that juxtaposition. And then, speaking of juxtapositions, there's the one that actually Micah himself posted that was done by at Trey Lens, TREYLENS, that interspersed Micah with Reggie White. So you hit that like awesome historical note there, because of course Micah Parsons is like this era's Reggie White, and that was phenomenal. And the fact that Micah Parsons himself posted it was like, oh, so good.
Right.
So good. And like right away when it was announced that he was being traded. And then the other one I want to shout out here was by our friend Johnny Barks. It's called What Happened the Last Time the Packers Stole an All-Pro Pass Rusher from an NFC East Team. So again, I was Micah and Reggie White together, and interspersed clips. So, all these were happening, coming out right at the time when the trade was announced, getting us all super excited about this. Just like, feeding us the red meat, to chew on and get excited about. So hats off to all of them. I mean, and the fact is, Don, there were a number of other ones that I didn't even get to, that were so good because I can't spend all night just talking about videos. But suffice to say, like, dude, nice work out there, folks.
Oh yes, such nice work. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do is, after I'm finished what I'm doing Sunday and getting ready for the game, I'm going to play them all because
nice.
I can only take so much hype video because I have like so much. I'm so excited and I feel like I'm going to implode. Maybe I don't know, but I don't think it's good for my health. So, but because then Sunday it'll be like, oh, Thursday. Now I got to wait till Sunday, right? Because there's a game tomorrow night, but. It's like, I'm going to wait till Sunday or maybe Saturday to just like take in all the hype videos. So I probably won't be able to sleep if I do it Saturday.
That's a good point. Do not watch them at bedtime.
I know. Do not watch hype videos at bedtime.
And these are so good.
Especially if you have trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
Do you get more than 6 hours of sleep per night? I have to have 8 or more.
Oh, Don, if I do, it's like within less than a half hour more than 6 hours. I usually get less than 6 hours. It's foolish. I live a foolish life sleep-wise. And
sleep is important because Andy was saying he gets 6 hours, but
yeah, no, 6-ish is what I get on a good night. On most nights are good nights, but yeah,
I have never. I have to have my sleep. Like if I don't have my sleep, I'm a mess, and I'm like cranky, and I get migraines. It's like my body needs its sleep. My dad was a good sleeper too, but like 8.5 at least.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's so healthy. But I think that's why I look young. People don't believe how old I am.
There you go.
I think it's because I sleep well.
And everyone thinks I'm 80. No, just kidding.
No,
the thing is, like, I'm a night person inherently, just my,
Me too.
my natural biorhythms and stuff.
Right.
Who has to get up early for work and getting the kids to school.
Right.
So it's kind of like I'm forced into functioning in the morning, but really I just want to stay up all night, like doing stuff and then, hanging out with my wife and like, watching stuff and listen to podcasts and like, no, you have to go to bed eventually.
Eventually, yeah. I'm up late, but I've mostly worked my whole life, mostly for myself or from home. And so I would like work, I'd start later, but I'd be up later working. Sometimes I would work all night and that was fine with me. It'd be like, oh, the birds are out. I better go to sleep. I work. Like I was a workaholic kind of, but I was still a night person. So I got it done somehow or another. I figured it out. But I just was curious because when he said 6 hours, I was like, is that enough? I don't think that's enough. But
it's enough to survive.
I think it depends on people too.
You can live on it. It doesn't feel good. I can say from my personal experience, but you can live on it. I'm
I'll
a pretty
have to.
effective, a human being and the things that I do, I will say.
You
But
are fairly high
would I be better
functioning.
at things if I had 7.5 hours? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe you will
Hold on, I have.
Mhm.
Sorry, go ahead. I have one more last superlative. And I realize because we're going so long, we should wrap it up here quickly. But
Yeah, let's wrap
my
it up.
last superlative for you, Dawn, is best reaction. This was so much fun. If you didn't hear it, this was last Friday's Pack a Day crew with our friends Aaron Alice, Jimmy Christensen, and Jen Curtin, because the news broke while they were recording the episode. So they were like in the middle of talking about like how likely is it that Micah Parsons is going to come to the Packers? And, like, let's say maybe it's 10% now, but like it's never going to happen because the Packers never. And in the middle of all this, Erin sees the news on her phone and her jaw drops, and she even posted a picture of like her reaction.
I know. I saw that.
And like basically like tells them, they all start screaming, and they're like Jimmy said, and this is like what I said last week on the show when we recorded, like he couldn't form a cohesive thought,
right?
Like because he was so like pumped about this news.
Yeah.
And so it's just been really funny because Andy then like clipped it and posted it actually recently. Just to go back and listen to that, it just makes me so happy, because it's like reliving that moment when we found out the amazing news that I still can't believe is true. I feel like we're living in a wonderful alternate timeline here somehow as Packers fans. So just the best reaction from those three from the Friday Pack a Day crew. I loved it so much.
I love that too, very, very much. I think I reached out to Erin. I think we're long overdue for Erin on our show.
To have her back for a second time.
Please, yes. Erin, come back. Please, Erin, come back.
For as frequently as we shout her out.
I'm gonna make this clip and send it to her.
There you go.
Come back. We need you. No, that was so cute. Her little picture of her reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. I just had to hold it all in, which is just hard, with all those Lions fans around me and the surgeon, like with my foot in his hand. It's like, oh my God. I don't want to say anything to offend him. He might stab me. He wouldn't. He was a good doctor. Anywho, okay, Maddie. Well, any final thoughts before we ring her home?
Man, just again, a huge thanks to Andy Herman. And if anybody has encountered our podcast and doesn't know who Andy Herman is, like that strikes me as super strange. I realize you have a lot of like people coming in from your true crime stuff, so those would be the people. But yes. If you're not already familiar with Andy, like he has built an amazing empire of podcast, podcasters, let's say podcasts, content. And if you're looking for like who are like the three people to follow to like be able to learn more about the Packers, he's easily in the top three. Like it doesn't matter who the two people are, he's going to be in the top three. So if you're all interested in Packers stuff and Packers content, you got to be following Andy Herman and his stuff. And like I said, when we were talking to him, such a consistently high level of quality through all of it. So anyhow, huge thanks again to Andy for his time today and for all the work he does. But that aside, Don, man, it's football season. It's for real. It starts tomorrow night. For real. And we made it, guys. So as we've said, I think every year, just as much as possible, live in the moment, live for the thrill of each quarter, of the game, take it all in and enjoy it, because we know, when it's February and it's all over and the Super Bowl is done and the all the glitter has hit the bottom of the stadium, we hit that point where it's just like, man, I wish it was still football season. It's like Andy Bernard, I wish it was the good old days back when they're still happening. This is the football season. Let's drink it in. Let's enjoy it. And let's really be grateful and present for it.
I love that. And that's, I think, what you and I both do. I mean, certainly we want to win. Mm-hmm. Certainly we love being fans of an organization that are consistently good and consistently competitive. We'd love to see, they're going all in this year. We'd love to see them go to the Super Bowl, but I'm not going to fall apart if they don't. I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm not going to be trolling other teams and that kind of thing. And I love this comment. I know, I'm sorry I went heavy on Lions, but I don't normally do that, but they deserved it. I love this comment from Too Deep. From the crime industry. I don't have a favorite team. I'm just a sports fan. So I love that. And I want to see the best at their best, healthy and competing. And that's what I want for everybody. I love that
Yes.
sentiment. And so with that, yay. And we'll be back every week this starting this season now that things are a little bit more together in my life. And Matt's got a little chaos going on, but I'll bring in guests if you have to miss Matt. So it's been a fun 4 years, and I'm excited about the 5th.
That's right. Yeah. And to that end on. So sort of transitioning back into the season, most weeks will be going live Thursday nights at halftime. If it's a week where it's a really good game, we might have a really short episode.
That's right.
We already mapped out the weeks where we really want to like watch the games, ones where it's not as important. So like we'll probably have guests on the weeks where it's a less interesting game for Packers fans. So we have a lot of people we're excited about who've already expressed interest in joining us for an episode here and there. So we have a lot of guests. We'll get into it yet because most aren't confirmed, but we have some really good people kind of in the hopper.
Yes,
for the
we
season.
do.
So really excited
to some in the hopper already.
Yeah, excited to chat with them, bring them to you, and just excited for everything about this season, Dawn, for our podcast.
So great. I can't believe it's here. I was so excited all day. Yeah. It's just like, I can't believe it's here. I can't believe it's here. I even made, and I can't even I can't eat very much of it. I can only eat bits at a time, but I made Chex Mix for tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
I haven't had, I don't know. I got a craving after the surgery I had. I have these weird cravings. One of them was sour cream and onion potato chips. And I can't really eat potato chips, but I've discovered that you can order the shake like for popcorn or whatever. I can't eat popcorn either. But I was like putting it on everything after my surgery. Just like on mashed potatoes and whatnot. And now it's Chex Mix. And I haven't had Chex Mix since I was like in my 20s living in Wisconsin. It's like not a thing. But I made Chex Mix for tomorrow.
That's hilarious. I love that.
I made a lot, so my neighbors will have some of it too. So, all right, Maddie, let's bring her home. Enjoy the game tomorrow. We'll see you guys next week, and let's bring her home, Maddie.
Yeah, and real fast too, for all the people who stuck with us through the chat here, or in the chat here through the whole show today, thank you. If you're listening to this on your podcast and you're still listening, thank you for listening to the end when it was a long episode. We appreciate you. Anybody who took the time to listen to us. Thank you.
Join us and be part of the little mini community. We love it. Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you, man.
Anyhow, bringing it home here. Friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow, take this to heart, please. The best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Sharing is great. Yes, Maddie, that's right. Because we love you. We're so glad to know you and that you've joined us and to be fans of you and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Take that, Lions. Okay. Just this one episode, I had to do it. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.